DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We are joined now by David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz. David, good morning.
Good morning, David James, Patrick Kinahan. Friday, back at it, NBA season, talking to the guys. Oh, my goodness, I'm fired up. It's inspiring to be connected to such greatness in even the most mundane way of just filling time for you so that you can have breakfast. It is just awesome.
I have to just applaud you for your focus. I went back in time, that opening question last week from DJ, 2.5 minutes, and you stayed with it the whole time.
He took 2.5 minutes to ask me a question?
Yeah, the first one.
Set up when it went back 40 years of tanking and started with the Rockets in the mid-'80s.
Literally 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
The history of tanking.
It's the longest question in Bonneville sports history.
Bonneville sports.
It's not, despite the fact that David James will go to the Hall of Fame, it is not in the Hall of Fame. It is not in the textbook of how young broadcasters should ask questions.
Well, he got on a roll, man. And sometimes you get on a roll, it's like a wave. It can't be stopped. You just have to wait till it get crest and start to go down.
Exuding out of you like David James does on a daily basis.
He's a basketball genius, too, man.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, it's very hard for us common folk.
Yeah.
Patrick, to relate to people around the genius that must be David James's brain at all times.
I did not have us common folk. I didn't have that on a list of cliches you might throw out during this. 1/3 of the NBA season left. What are you, for the Utah Jazz, what are you most looking forward to seeing in this stretch?
I think the kind of number one talking point I've had recently, and I don't think it's one that, Austin or Will can say honestly, but I think is the truth, is that the world just changed on Cody Williams, Bryce Sensabaugh, Kyle Filipowski, and Isaiah Collier. So, and maybe Vince Williams and John Conchar too. And what I mean by that is, it's interesting to watch them develop and try to play well and get better when you're going to win 25 games. But when you're going to try to win 55 games, you got to be good enough. This is a really important, little less than 2-month developmental test. Can Kyle Filipowski be a backup big, either 4 or 5, on an NBA team trying to win 50 games? Can Isaiah Collier do that? Can Cody Williams do that? And if they can't, then it's probably time to make really drastic moves, because we're in it now. And starting next year, we're going for it. And if Kyle Filipowski, Cody Williams, Bryce Sensabaugh, or Isaiah Collier are not good enough to be in that circumstance and play those minutes, then they're just not going to play. Or someone else is going to be on the roster that is going to play. And then if that's the case, then, we're not waiting 2 or 3 more years for these guys anymore. So I just think it's a really, really monumentally important stretch for their careers. And then our evaluation of them might even mean you should have them finish games.
I agree.
So that you can look. Just a thought.
To me, all this tanking stuff is, we're criticizing teams for losing. Well, the reality of it is they're actually trying to win. It's just not right now. And to deny the Jazz 25 games more, another 25, 26 games, an opportunity to get much more thorough evaluations in NBA games, not Summer League and not whatever. It is all about now, not open gym type things. That's ridiculous. It's almost like I want to say, how dare anybody deny the Jazz the opportunity, especially the Jazz, because of the fact that they had all these draft picks that they actually didn't give away and brought in players. Now this is real-time evaluations. How does anybody have the right to say you can't do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I find that to be the most, and they won.
Well, sure. And throw in Ace Bailey, too, in there, He's a teenager. He's a teenager.
And they won one of the games, right?
And the other one, it was a 2-point loss or something.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear that people got in the ear of Adam Silver, and he caved because he had a press conference coming the next day.
Well, he needs to just shut up then.
Good. Go get him, PK.
Right behind
And
you.
I'm not even this diehard fan. I'm just looking at it logically.
No, I mean, it's just like the thing that drives me crazy on this, and is I just, so we played Lowry and Jaren Jackson 9 minutes in that second half. Okay. So had we allocated the 9 minutes differently, would it have been better?
I know.
I don't know. Maybe not.
No,
But
I
like,
was
let's
saying
say
they should sit out in the third quarter now. Just
Right.
just totally
100%.
mess with them,
That's the point.
mess with the league. Just
Right,
take quarters to rotate the quarters they don't play.
Right. Like, so if Lowry had played 9 minutes and he had played the first 5 minutes and the
Right.
final 4, would it have been fine? If you
Based on the
broke it up
logic
into
they
three-
used, yes.
3 would it have been right?
There's a list out. ESPN has a story. Everybody's got the story. You can see it. There's like 6 or 7 ideas for how to combat tanking, and they're really going to examine it this summer. And it's not going to impact the Jazz that much because we're going to see, them move up in the standings and probably move out of all this talk for several years now. But when I looked at the list, it's like they've already talked about flattening the odds for all the lottery teams. They did that, and that's in Ewing went to the Knicks when the Warriors had the worst record, but the Warriors fell all the way back to 7th, which at the time was the end of the lottery. That's terrible, so they went away from it. Now they're bringing it back out like it's a new idea. It just feels like they're moving the bag back at first base or over into the dugout or something.
No, I mean the system incentivizes this. It's a problem, and like the idea that we're going to set it at the trade deadline. Oh, good. So teams can go 2-36 to start the season.
Right.
That would be great.
Yep.
Yeah, but nobody's paying attention as much to basketball at that time of year.
I mean, that's really the answer. I mean, a lot of this, what happens here is that the minute the NFL season finishes, known as they talk about, then the NBA goes into the spotlight. Last year was TV ratings, and this year was tanking.
Yeah.
Right? That's literally what happens here. And the TV ranking story was wrong, and this year the tanking story, because Sam Presti, according to Tony Jones, was making the rounds to get people to react, got people to react. So, I mean, the best answer I've heard from anyone is something that's pretty radical. I don't think they would do it, but the answer is that Kevin Pelton, this is Kevin Pelton's, is that when the season is over, you announce randomly selected date, and it's the draft order is based on the winning percentage of teams after that date. But they don't know the date.
Oh, man. That's like a box of chocolates in Tom Hanks movie?
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump, yeah.
I mean, so the idea is that you go through the season, and if you don't make the playoffs, you don't make the playoffs. And then your record after a certain date, I think it's if whoever wins the most, you've incentivized winning now, is you then flip the draft order. And that would be the only way that I've seen where at no point along the way are you incentivized to lose.
Yeah, but I don't know that changes anything that the Jazz are doing.
Right. Well, I mean, getting rid of we might decide to get rid of protected picks too.
Well, that's another. Yeah, but that's irrelevant to what the Jazz are doing. They drafted all these dudes. Now they got to find out if they can play. So when it's time to win, which is October, what do we have?
Right. So that's very clear.
Do you think?
That is very clear.
Do you think, given the big trade you said and your expectations, like these young guys have got to really show that they can do it because the Jazz are going to be trying to do it next year? Can you really win? Do you expect this is going to be a really busy summer, or the fact all this tanking is going on is because they changed the salary cap rules and it got harder to make trades, it got harder to sign free agents, and everyone's had to lean into the draft big time? And that really, those unintended consequences from the last labor negotiations are why we are where we are, and the Jazz will be a little handcuffed this summer.
I think we have a little bit of a mix because we actually have a few teams with cap space, Jazz no longer, and we have some kind of free agents that are a little interesting, so I think there's going to be a little bit of a mix there.
A little fine, huh?
Yeah, I think Austin Reeves stays in L.A., but I'm not sure. I don't think Peyton Watson stays in Denver just because of money. So I think there's going to be some movement there. That'll be interesting. I think Jaw gets moved. There's still some lingering players from the trade deadline that didn't get moved. And then I think from a Jazz-specific standpoint, I haven't talked to anyone, but I'm not totally convinced that these guys that are on our roster right now are bench players next year.
I know. You said that.
Yeah. If you can get better veterans, I get it.
Yeah, like, I don't want to use a name because I'm not trying to call anyone out, but just take whichever of the young players. Like, really, if you're not sure that they can contribute next year, when would they ever contribute? Like, we're in it, right? We got an iteration. This is like a 2 or 3 year window where we're in it, and then the next iteration is after Lowry and Jaren's contracts start to come up. Then we have to figure out what we're doing next because we're going to have a little bit of a money problem. We've paid Walker and Keontae, and then Ace Bailey's contract comes up after that, and whoever we draft this year, hopefully getting a pick, comes up after that. Like, you're starting to make changes. Like, you don't really have 3 years for someone to develop. They need 3 years.
But couldn't you argue that that's one reason why you need to keep those guys to make sure they develop because they'd be cheaper?
If, in fact, they would be cheaper, yes. But I'm not sure they would be.
Depending on how good they get and depending on who they are, the market for, a few types of players is always a little higher. Yeah,
right.
I see your point.
If somebody's willing to pay one of these guys, then, that's a catch-22, right? If they get good enough that they can get paid, then we probably want them. But if they're going to get paid, we probably can't keep them. So it gets a little tricky.
Sure, understood. But then if you would be trading them away, you'd be getting back similar financial situations.
I think it's going to be a very active offseason. You go to a team that has a mid-range veteran on their team, and maybe we'd rather have him who can give us 14, 15 minutes guaranteed without the warts.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little higher on some of these guys than you might be. And I realize you don't want to list individual names and you can't really in your position. But I see stuff there. Not that I'm a big basketball expert who knows all this stuff.
I see stuff there, but trying to win 50 games is really hard. And if you have glaring weaknesses, then the stuff here doesn't get to shine.
I'm more PK than you in this discussion. I think there's something there with these guys. Now, having said that, the comfort zone.
Stop making a claim that I don't think there's something there.
Okay.
I think it's hard to win 55 games.
Yeah, especially if you up it to 55. And especially if they think, hey, we've got to be able to win in the playoffs. I think it depends on where they're setting the bar for what they want to accomplish next year. If they want to win 50 in the regular season and lose in the first round, I think they're well on their way to building that kind of team, and I think there's a good chance they can pull it off, noting that that's still a long way away, so we're trying to look way in the future, which is dangerous. But if they're sitting there thinking, we have to win a playoff series next year, and you know that the Thunder and the Spurs and the Nuggets are probably going to be set up to win playoff series, like there's not a lot more room to get in the second round. And if that's where they're setting the bar, then I think they're going to need to upgrade the roster and bring in some veterans.
Right. And that's where my bar. My bar is you're a top 6 team. You're not in the play-in. You're a playoff team, and you're competing to get to the second round of playoffs in a real series. And the reason is because these windows close too fast for you to meander your way into it.
Right. Yeah. You don't have 6 years for these guys to grow up and figure it out.
So do what Lindsay did then and get those vets to augment the young guys when Snyder was coaching and they took the big leap and won a playoff series.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's who's the next. Not the way he came, not the way he developed this, but by the time he's done with this, who's Royce O'Neal? Maybe it's Royce O'Neal.
Yeah, but also don't they have to add a Joe Johnson? I mean, he hits the shot to win game one at the Clippers and send the message to the team, we can win this series, right? That's the message he sent when he hit that shot. But there's a bunch of people on the court at that moment that I would not have trusted to hit that shot. I mean, it probably could have gone to Hayward, and none of us would have trusted him to hit that shot. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. No, that's where I am. I might be wrong. This is just one guy talking. As I said, I have not talked to anyone. I'm not speaking as a company spokesperson, but I think the goal would be to be top 6 in the West. It's going to be hard. There's 7 teams, I think, next year that really have a chance for it. To be trying to knock off someone like Minnesota in the first round of the playoffs in the 4 or 5 matchup to get to the second round. Play Oklahoma City.
Maybe there's an opportunity to have both because they got so many young guys, so you keep some, get rid of some.
Yeah, my concern on that, I agree. No, I think that's the answer. You just have to decide which one. Maybe you think all 4 of them can do this, or all 6 of them, and then they stay.
But maybe it's also maybe it rests on who's available, doesn't it, David? I mean, depending on who you can get, it could impact Collier at a guard, or it could impact Filipowski. It depends on who's available and who you can bring in.
Right. And I think this is exciting. Like, I think this is great. Like, the way Isaiah Collier's been closing some games recently gives you hope. The way Bryce Sensabaugh hit some big shots gives you hope. The way Kyle's improved some of his defensive stuff gives you hope.
Which all adds up to the opportunity to get more evaluation. So somebody from the Jazz needs to tell the NBA to shut the bleep up.
I think they probably have.
They're doing it the right way under the circumstances that they have. Not all tanking is the same thing.
Yeah.
For everybody. It's not just a blanket method. The Jazz have far more legitimacy in doing what they do if you just look at the rosters and look at the capital that they've already expended to get these guys. Now they have the right to evaluate them.
Right. You're preaching to the choir here.
Well, David, we'll leave it right there for now. We'll hear you on the call. You got a game, and then do you sit on the road for a couple of days? Because Houston's Monday.
I know. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for the time, as always, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Bye.
Okay. David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, joining us right here on The Zone. When we come back, Pablo Mastroeni, RSL's opener tomorrow night. Stick around. He's joining us next.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
One of Adam Silver's biggest problems is that he is not consistent at all, and he sets all these crazy precedents that he doesn't live up to, or he sets a precedent he could never live up to. He can't sit there and manage Will Hardy's lineup.
If you want to say conduct detrimental to the NBA, that could be every single night in the NBA with what happens with rotations or who's available and who's not available that doesn't apply to the player participation policy. You know, the Jazz can rest Yusuf Nurkic all they want. He's not in the player participation policy, but if suddenly the NBA says, well, that's detrimental to the NBA and we're going to fine you anyways, then this opens a can of worms that you can't enforce every night because you can't fine your teams every single night they step on the court.
Because he doesn't care about policy and never has. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Catch Jake and Ben weekdays from 10 to noon on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, we're brought to you by University of Utah Health. At University of Utah Health, hope is in our DNA. Learn more at uofuhealth.org. Pablo Mastroeni scheduled to join us here momentarily. We just had David Locke on talking about the Utah Jazz. It'll be an intriguing summer, seeing what the Jazz do. There have to be some veteran role player additions. It seems crazy to me there wouldn't be any.
Agreed.
But which guy, if that leads to some of the young guys getting jettisoned, which guy, I really do wonder how much of that comes down to what they show in the last 25 games, how much confidence they have in them, but then also just like who's available. It's a numbers game. It's a little bit of a lottery here. You know, when you're not the best player, and then you're waiting on what somebody else decides. DJ, PK, we're joined by Pablo Mastroeni, RSL head coach. Pablo, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Pablo, no one ever really compliments the schedule or says the league did them a solid. People like to complain about that kind of stuff across all sports. But I think the fact that you get to open in Vancouver, since you have to train indoors on turf, which I know you don't love, and you got to play a game on turf, which I'm pretty sure you don't love, and neither do the players, isn't it good that you're at least playing on the turf while you're training on the turf?
There you go, DJ. It's the silver lining. Yeah, it's all about perspective. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. No, it's true. It's true. I think that's a great point. And it's been tough on the turf, obviously. But if there's no better time, you know, because when you're in the middle of the summer, the last thing you want to do is come inside and train on turf to prepare for Vancouver. So it aligns itself beautifully.
You know, I've been a sports fan, I think, literally my whole life. When I came out of the womb, the doctor slapped me on the butt. I was like, okay, I got to go, man. I got to watch a game. I mean, from birth, right? It's really, I'm so one-dimensional. I don't know anything about anything else. And each start of the season, we were joking about spring training baseball games start today. And I say, I'm going to go watch the Diamondbacks, blah, 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 blah. And the point is, no matter what season starts, I'm excited for it. Now, I'm wondering from your perspective, this is something you've been doing a long time, not necessarily jitters or butterflies or whatever, but just define your level of excitement with a new season right here before you.
Yeah, no, I think it's a little bit the same way. Obviously, I experienced it, having played for the last, I don't know how many years of my life, where whether it was a preseason in club soccer or high school or college, playing pros and now coaching, it's the same juices that get fired, and I think more than anything else, BK, it's just being in the arena, it's being in there and, rolling up the sleeves and really getting to work and building. And I think the cool thing from a coaching perspective is that the challenges that we experienced last year, some of them will be replicated, but I think the majority will be new, given that we have a relatively a core group of guys coming back that I think can lead through some of those familiar difficulties. I think some of the ones that we'll experience this year will be new, and as a coach and coaching staff, it's really cool to try to find solutions. Right. And it's solutions, as far as the culture is concerned, solutions, player management, solutions for the tactical adjustments you need to make during games, given the different shapes that different teams will play. So I think, one of the things as a coach that I pride myself on is being a problem solver. And I think that's the beauty of this job, where you go into work and you go in assuming everything's going to turn out, and you walk out of that, you get in your car to go home and you go, I cannot believe the amount of variables that went a certain way that I had no idea were going to happen. And so I think it's exciting. And then you obviously have a new group of players, and we've brought in quite a few, real quality, experienced players to add to the group. And so, once we get everyone up and going and, the collective on the field, I'm really, really excited for 2026.
You like to solve problems. Apparently, you got a few. Apparently, Wednesday's practice gave you a whole new training session, gave you a whole new set of problems. And the only people more secretive than NBA coaches are, well, it's tied really between the NHL and Major League Soccer. They just really like to stay super vague on injuries. So I know you don't want to go into it, but when people see the starting 11 in Vancouver, they may assume that, you were day drinking, Pablo. I mean, this is going to be a little unusual, but people should know that this is you playing the hand you were dealt.
Yes. I don't consider myself a tinkerer. I play the cards that are dealt and try to do so in the best way to put the team in a position to be successful. And obviously, as you pointed out, there's some injuries midweek, and then we have some visa stuff going on with quite a few of the guys that are still up in the air. And so, again, a lot of variables. But here's an opportunity for a few guys that maybe weren't anticipating getting a good run, and now it's, as a staff, how do we prepare them to make sure that they're playing free, they're playing brave, they're expressing themselves, they're not just filling in, right? It's a wonderful opportunity, and this is how some careers are spawned. And our job as a staff is to make sure everyone's prepared. Everyone knows the adjustments we've made tactically. Everyone's gotten reps in preseason. And a lot of these guys, ironically, played in a couple of games in Portugal together, just happenstance. And so I feel like these guys are going to be in a position to be able to express themselves, to compete the right way, and hopefully at the end of the day get a great result.
Every season has its twists and turns, ups and downs. It just doesn't matter the sport. It's just the way it is, particularly these longer seasons that you may have, and everybody's got them at the professional level. So there's going to be guys that maybe surprise, maybe disappoint. But, in staying with DJ's silver lining, let's just go for the surprise. If you're going to say some players that you're looking to make adjustments, not adjustments, but leaps, improvements, I guess is probably the better word. You got some teenagers, you got some guys in your early 20s. I mean, we know guys like Justin Glad and so forth. We know we're getting there. But can you just speak to maybe some of the guys who have an opportunity to maybe have a breakout that the fans can watch as we get going into the summer?
Yeah, I think two guys off the top of my head, Aiden Herzakani, who's been at the academy for a few years now, and played quite a few minutes with the Monarchs and had his debut into the league last year for, I think, 45 minutes. Has been really sharp in preseason. He's an attacking, creative style player, a little bit like Diego Luna, where he can create opportunities for his teammates, but he can also score. He's a left-footed player, really smooth and really balanced. And so, again, I think the attacking positions are always the hardest to acclimate to at the highest level because the speed of the game is exponentially faster. And the games he's played and the competition he's gone up against has been of MLS caliber and has done a really good job. So that's Aiden Herzakani. The other one is Luka Moisa. And to be honest, he's a player that I had zero expectations heading into preseason. He represented the U.S. in the Under-17 World Cup and plays in the middle of midfield. The one thing I can say about Luka is that he's got a sublime awareness and high soccer acumen. And even though he's a bit diminutive and hasn't really grown into his body yet,
he's 17 years old. Who has?
Right. Exactly. No, it's incredible. And so, but the fact that he can hang in these games and even be solid in these games, to me, is a shock. Because I go back to when I was, at Thunderbird High, and I was his same size, and I'm playing high school games against, Greenway, and now he's potentially playing against Vancouver, the Western Conference champs. And so these guys, these are the two players that I think can really have breakthrough. And again, the way I'd like to say it is, it's not so much this year, because I don't think it's fair to say that this is going to be their year. But what I'm saying is they have done well enough to step on the field this year, contribute meaningfully. But when that breakout happens, it's in the next year or two, maybe even 3. But they're trending in a direction that is really, really good for them at their age.
I always hated the Demons, Pablo. Hated them with a passion. And then I go to NAU my first year. I end up best buddies with the guy who was the quarterback at Greenway. Small world.
See how it works? Yeah.
That's the universe, right, Pablo?
That's karma. That's exactly right.
What about Xavier Gozo? Because not only do
he's
you
18, man.
want him to take a leap, you need him to take a leap. What have you seen from him, and how might he be a different player this year than last year?
Oh, DJ, the growth of Xavier has been incredible. He continues to impress. I remember when he first got to the group last year, as far as 1v1, he was very one-dimensional, where if he played on the right side, he'd take his touch always to the right and end up getting bodied by, a bigger defender. Towards the end of last year, he really spent a lot of time coming onto his left foot. And now defenders are thinking he can go right. If he pushes it past me by right, there's a good chance that I don't have the speed. And now he's cutting onto his left and scored a wonderful goal in a preseason game, cutting into his left from about 20 yards out, which was non-existent at the start of last year. And then he had another great opportunity in our last preseason game, and same type of action. And so now you have a player in the wide areas who's fast, who's physically elite, but now technically is adding layers and layers to his game. And so for me, he was the best attacking player in preseason, and continues to be one of the most important players for the team. And the other part is that he's flexible. He can play up front. He can play as a wing back. And the one interesting thing about him as a wing back is that when we're in a lower mid-block defending and he gets going, it's really, really difficult for that left back or that left wing back to stay with him because he's just so fast. And so Gozo's a player that I think has, he can be. I got to be careful when I say things like this because it's still early days, but he can be an elite striker not only for Major League Soccer but Major League Soccer and beyond. I think I see him representing the U.S. national team in the next few years. Because he is the way he commits to his craft and it improves on a daily is tremendous. So a player that I am just so proud of and really the commitment he's made to being the best professional he can be.
You talk about get this thing going, and the funny thing is the game first game counts as much as the 25th game and so forth and so on. So how do you make sure that the mindset is, okay, this is a long season and there'll be changes and so forth, but these games count?
Yeah. Yeah, no, we definitely want to get out of the gates as best we can. Obviously, everything in context, and being that, the group that's going out might be a little bit, there's going to be a lot of debuts on day one. And so my expectations as a coach is nothing changes as far as the way I look at things. And that's really through process. And again, we can't let results validate the work that we're doing, because there's times where you play poorly and you get a good result, and there's times you play really, really well and you don't. And the one consistent must be that our processes, the understanding of our tactics and how we implement them, the methodology, all these things that are under our control have to be examined really, really closely. And so we'll get a lot of information from this game. And we'll use this game as a foundational piece for the following game. And the idea is, by the end of the season, you should be able to close your eyes and just hear the ball move and move according to where the ball is. And that's really the aim. And obviously, we want to win these games early days. But it's also making sure that we don't put the cart before the horse, and understand that what we do Monday through Friday is the most important thing to put us in a position to be successful on Saturday.
You played defensive midfield at a very high level, Pablo, won a championship as a player and played in 2 World Cups. You see the game that way, and I got to say I'm a little surprised. I mean, I get the formation change, but I'm a little surprised because it does seem like you could be pushing a lot of guys forward and leaving yourself open on counterattacks with 3 in the back and the 2 defensive midfielders. You've talked about, hey, one of those guys has got to be giving us some late arriving runs and be an extra attacker when we get into the, get closer to goal. How comfortable are you, and how much have you seen with that? Because you've literally come into a post game after like a 3-2 win, and that was wildly entertaining, and I hated every minute of it. And you got a huge laugh with that line, but I know you were telling the truth. It kills you. You would much rather win, a 1-goal game than have 4, 5, 6 goals scored in a game.
Yeah, it's a bit of a conundrum, DJ, and one, because we're also in entertainment, right?
Yeah.
Fans come to see entertainment. If I don't evolve as an ex-player who played defensive mid into what makes this game great, and for me, when I watch sports, it's really about attacking. I mean, defending, no one really, whatever. It's super important from a coaching perspective. It's super important. But really, if we park the bus, and a little bit like what Minnesota did the last couple of years, I mean, I had anxiety watching that because, again, they were prolific in the counterattack, but the amount of opportunities opponents get because you're playing so close to your own goal starts to become dangerous as well. And so I always feel like you can, one of the things that we talked about internally as a staff is like, I want to improve the way we want to play and not change the way we want to play because things aren't going well, right? So how do we improve our rest defense, which is the shape behind the ball, as you point out? We don't want 2 pivots going forward, but we can definitely have 1 if we're organized and we make that a focal point of our practice. And so there's so many components to it. But the other part too is you can convince players to defend if you're also allowing them to attack. It's very difficult to convince a group of 11 players to just sit behind the ball, and then we win the ball, we're just going to send 2 or 3 guys forward. Everyone enjoys the game of soccer when they're in possession of the ball. Yeah. And it's hard to convince the guys up front to work if there's no sugar behind it. So we want to be a dynamic team. We want to have 5 guys minimum in the attack. The 6th guy is one of the pivots, which is an element of surprise, which adds a big question mark in certain moments. But we also want to be cognizant of the fact that we don't want to get broken down in transition. And I think there's a happy medium in that. But the most important thing is I want our guys to be aggressive. I want them to express themselves. I want them to be brave. And I want our fans to be the best 12th man. And the easiest way to do that is to have a lot of attacking action.
Agreed.
Hey, if you don't like defending, the best thing you can do is defend and win the ball back. Then you don't have to defend anymore. If you just jog around and give a half effort, they're going to string 30 passes together. You're going to be defending forever, running from sideline to sideline, giving up corners, and that's no fun. So
Hire him, Pablo. Make him be your coach, assistant coach right there,
I was
man.
going to say, that's right. That's right, Coach DJ.
I'm done with him on radio.
The only truth here is neither one of you want to deal with me. All right, Pablo, you win. You get to go away. You get to go away and concoct whatever lineup. I think we're all looking forward to seeing Cabral as a striker. I think that'll be awesome. So,
Not happening.
Hey, you never know. You never know.
Bring him up for that header at the end of the game and win it. That is what you'll do.
There you go.
All right.
That's the only thing he needs left. He's done everything else for us, so might as well give that a go.
Might as well get a game-winning goal on the road in the opener.
I'd give it a gozo before I'd give it that one.
There you go.
All
Okay, you're actually now you should be the coach because that's well said. That's well said.
All right. Now the club is absolutely wrecked. absolutely wrecked.
All right, guys.
All right. Enjoy the trip to Vancouver. We'll watch the opener, see how that goes. You can hear it here on The Zone, and we will talk to you again next week, hopefully, Pablo.
All right, guys.
All right.
Take care. Thank you.
There's Pablo Mastroeni. The opener's at Vancouver tomorrow night. Apple TV, you can hear it here on The Zone. It's early start 5:30, a little earlier than normal when you're playing on the West Coast.
As I understand that Apple TV, you don't need the extra subscription, right?
They got rid of the double paywall thing this year.
So long as you have covers it.
Yeah, so long as you have Apple TV,
it's good enough.
You're good enough. You don't have to have the MLS Plus
package.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. It used to be called the double paywall, but it's just one now, so that's good to go. And they're home. The home opener is a week away. Seattle will be here next weekend. DJ and PK at 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Stay with us. We got a lot to come, including the Jazz at the top of the hour. Stay with us.
This past summer, we introduced the first ever Top 60 and 60 watch list. And now that the season is over, it's time to rank the best players in the state of Utah. It's the Top 60 and 60 ranking show, presented by Kenny J's Barbecue. Coming up this Friday, the Zone will rank the players that made the biggest impact on the state from the 2025 season. Live from Kenny J's Barbecue at the District in South Jordan, it's the Top 60 and 60 ranking show, presented by Kenny J's Barbecue, where you can get 10% off your catering order at KennyJ'sBBQ.com. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The Salt Lake County Players of the Week, brought to you by Hercules First Federal Credit Union. And this week, our winners, Nevaeh Crosby from West Jordan High and Samio Takavea from West High. Crosby tallied 17 points in a win at Hunter, followed up with 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 steals in a win over Kearns. Takavea tallied 16 points and 9 rebounds in a win over Granger, and then 19 points and 15 boards in a victory over Taylorsville. The Salt Lake County Players of the Week Award, proudly presented by Hercules First Federal Credit Union. At Hercules, they're celebrating the everyday victories. Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together. PK, We have many things coming together all at once. We've got gold medal just awarded in women's hockey. We've got semifinals and then the gold and bronze medal games Sunday for men's hockey. We've got the NBA restarting. We've got several intriguing college basketball games Saturday night for the local teams. And we just had Pablo on. RSL's season opener is at 5:30 tomorrow. So, with all of that, there's also spring training getting started.
That's
with
where I'm
5
going.
games.
I was going to say, you're forgetting the most important thing
the
here.
most?
Spring training games are here.
Because that means spring is coming after a long, hard winter and just all that time we've all spent shoveling snow.
Has it been a hard winter?
Not really.
Supposed to say that, but obviously it hasn't. That would be interesting to see what happens in March, if March ends up being a snow record month.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, your wife coached high school sports for years, and you've often said that the kids who play sports and spring sports, those are the one who really get the shaft from the weather. Winter's indoors, so
Doesn't
the
matter,
swimming, the wrestling, the basketball can all go on. But in the spring, the kids who are playing baseball and softball and lacrosse and track, good luck, kids.
They get dumped on, literally.
Literally, yeah.
And the wind and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
It's not fun.
So much going on. All right, well, one of the things that's going on is your Utah Jazz. Back at it tonight in Memphis. We are talking Jazz next. Stay with us right here on The Zone.